Hello again, everyone, and welcome again to another Shortstop with a Shortstop.
And the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall arise, no more sorrows.
You know, I can't believe that there is a time clock now in baseball. If a pitcher doesn't throw the baseball within 20 seconds, the umpire is going to call timeout, and he's going to come out and call a ball on the pitcher. But the batter has 20 seconds to get into the batter's box, and if he doesn't get in there, the umpire is going to call timeout, and he's going to call a strike on the batter, even though the pitcher hadn't even thrown a ball. And about a month ago, there was two major league teams playing. The team that was batting was down by 1 run. There was men on second and third base and 2 outs, and the batter had 2 strikes on him. And the batter didn't get into the batter's box in his 22nd time, and the umpire called strike 3 without the pitcher even throwing the ball, and the game ended. I hate the time clock. But if we look at time, if you go to court, your lawyers are always looking at a timeline as far as some type of criminal intent might have been committed. But if we look in the Bible, there's a timeline also. From Genesis to Exodus chapter 34, when Moses came down the second time with the 10 Commandments, this was known as the patriarchal age. And God spoke directly to the heads of the homes. And then from Exodus chapter 34 to Acts chapter 2, we had the Mosaical age. And God talked to the prophets, and they told the people what God wanted them to do. But today we live in the Christian age, and it started in Acts chapter 2, and it's going to go until the end of time. And Jesus has spoken to us through his word, which is the Bible. And that's what we have to guide our lives now in the Christian age. And that's what we want to look at. But today I want to talk a little bit about the church and denominationalism. We know that the church that Jesus established was established on AD 33. And this was on Acts chapter 2, when Peter stood up and preached that first gospel sermon, and 3,000 people were baptized and added to the church. The church was started in the city of Jerusalem in AD 33. Now, church history, if you go back and look at it and study it, in Rome in the year 606 AD, a man by the name of Boniface III was deemed the first pope of the Catholic Church. But it didn't start until the year 606. And then in 1543 in England, a man by the name, or he was the King Henry VIII, he started the Episcopalian Church. 1536 in Switzerland, a man by the name of John Calvin started the Presbyterian Church, and it can't be traced any farther back than that. And then in 1607, a man by the name of John Smythe started the Baptist Church. And the Baptist Church cannot be traced any farther back than 1607. And then if we look at the Mormon Church, it was started by a man by the name of Joseph Smith in 1830. And it was started here in the country of America. The Jehovah's Witness Church, it was started by a man by the name of Charles Russell. And it was in 1872, and it was also started here in America. But if the church that Jesus started, and if we look in Matthew chapter 16 and verse 18, Jesus says, I also say to you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it. Now, how many churches did Jesus say that he was going to start? And he said he was going to start one. He said, I'm going to build my church. So what we need to do is dig through our Bible and try to find out exactly which church that is, so that we can make sure that we're doing what Jesus wants to do and that we belong to the church that he built. Colossians chapter 1 and verse 18, it says, it's talking about Jesus. It says, he is also head of the body, the church, and he is the beginning of the firstborn from the dead, so that he himself will overcome to have first place in everything. So the body and the church are interchangeable words. The body is the church is the body. And if we turn to Ephesians chapter 4, and I want to read this backwards. I'm going to start in verse 6 and read verse 6 and verse 5 and then verse 4. But it says there's one God. Now, do you all believe that there's more than one God? I don't think that you do. I think that you believe that there is one God, one Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. Verse 5 says, one Lord, and that's talking about Jesus Christ. I think there is only one Jesus, and I believe that you believe that. There's one faith and one baptism. Now listen to this in verse 4. It says there is one body. Wow. Now which body are we looking for? If the word body is interchangeable with the church, then we need to look and define that one body. And if we look at the organization of the church, we find out that in 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7, that there are elders or shepherds, and they have qualifications that they need to meet. And then if we look starting in verse 8 and go on down to through verse 12, it talks about the qualifications for deacons. And this is how the church is organized. And if we look at the worship, we look at Acts chapter 20 and verse 7, and it says that they came together on the first day of the week to break bread. They took communion or the Lord's Supper on each and every single first day of the week. In 1 Corinthians chapter 16, verses 1 and 10, it says they lay by in stores, they were prospered on every first day of the week. They sang, but they sang without instrumental music in Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 19. And they prayed. That was part of worship. And then they were taught. They had a lesson. And that was part of worship. That's part of the plan of how they worship. But we need to match those things up with the Bible to make sure that we're doing the things that we're supposed to be doing on each and every single first day of the week. I was raised Baptist, but I was able to teach myself out of it. And sometimes we need to look and try to learn as much as we possibly can so that we can be as close to Jesus Christ as we possibly can. And there are some facts that we need sometimes, or questions that we need sometimes to ask. And if we're looking at the Baptist church, some questions that we need to ask. If faith only saves, then why does James 2:17 and 24 state that faith only is dead? Why claim that John the Baptist was part of the Baptist church when his name reflects only what he did, and that was to baptize? Then if we look at the Catholic Church, where in the New Testament does it teach that Peter was the first pope? Is the Bible the sole inspired authority of all today? And I'm going to read one more. It's going to be some facts about the Methodist Church. John Wesley was the founder. But some of the questions that we need to ask is: one born in sin? What is the purpose of baptism? Is it for the remission of sins as taught in Acts chapter 2 and verse 38? Can babies have the ability to believe? Can babies have the ability to repent as taught as the candidate for baptism must do? But these are some questions that we need to ask and need to go back to the Bible and try to make sure that what we are doing is pleasing to God. And please understand, I'm not trying to cause confusion or division or make anybody mad. But what I'm trying to do is put a rock in your shoe and make you think. God says we're to study to show ourselves approved. In 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15. And he also says you will know the truth and the truth will make you free. But the only way that you are going to know the truth is to open the Bible and study it for yourself. I don't like the time clock, but we need to study church history as much as we possibly can, and because we always only want to do one thing and one thing only, and that's teach the truth. Thank you again for being with a shortstop with a shortstop.